Hey everybody. Behind me you can see the saltwater barrier that was built by the Neches Valley Authority. The purpose of it was to prevent saltwater encroachment when the river is low up into those farmlands and stuff. Hold on. I have an ant in my kayak. Oh, the joys of trying to figure out your life. I'm also really hoping this very old kayak floats well. Put a lot of trust in things today. But when they built the saltwater barrier, they also put in a boat launch, and they have some stocked ponds further down the road. So I've been coming out to fish a couple times, caught some bluegill out here, but I figured I'd check it out this morning in my brother's old kayak. For the first time, we pulled it out of the garage, and it seems like it's not taking on water, which is good. I'm just floating around here by my truck to make sure that everything's good with the kayak before I start trying to paddle. This is also the beginning of some of the paddling trails here in Southeast Texas, and it felt like a good morning to come try it out. So I'm going to paddle around. Brought my fishing stuff to do some fishing. Got a new outdoor waterproof camera to try out, so I'll probably put this one up in a bit, but I wanted to get some footage this morning. So there are definitely some big fish out here, like a massive one just jumped over there. But the coordination of fishing, paddling, not dropping anything into the water is too much for me right now. So I'm just kind of paddling and stopping for a bit to drop the line in. I've gotten no bites, but it doesn't matter. Hey, what's up everybody? So I got everything loaded, took myself to Sonic for what is, I guess we could call brunch, since all I had was that fig bar earlier when I was kayaking. So gonna eat this here in the park, but overall everything went pretty well. You know, 3 hours of paddling. I did see a gator at one point. It was on the other side of the river from me, and it was moving away from me. But what made me uncomfortable is a bass boat passed right as I noticed it, and then it went under, so I couldn't tell where it went, and that made me uncomfortable. You know, it's a lot different being on the bank and seeing a gator, and then knowing that at any minute the gator could pop up next to you in a boat, and you're like 2 inches away from the water. So that was fun. But it was my first time solo paddling. I've been out before with my brother and with the kids, but this was the first time like just by myself. So had some safety features built in, you know, had the whistle, had the life jacket, let people know where I was, all that stuff. But overall, I need some modifications to the kayak. You know, free kayak means you don't complain, but also you can fix it up a little bit. I need to put a rod holder in, so I'm not just constantly shuffling things around. And I would like to have some kind of system up front that I could like toss things in, like a basket or something. I don't know. But overall, it was fun. I didn't catch any fish, but there were big fish out there several times. Sizable fish scared the crap out of me by jumping near me. And I don't know if I caught those all on my action camera that I was wearing. Hopefully I did, because there was one really big one that I was like, I'm glad that wasn't in my boat, because that was a big old fish. Or other species. I don't know. I just saw the end of it. But yeah, had a good time. We'll definitely do it again. For now, I'm gonna eat lunch and wrap things up, and we'll see you in the next video.